for all the delays today. Had to meet with the workmen. My husband had an appointment, so he couldn't help me out with that. But they're gone. And then I was having technical difficulties, so you'll see this is our second try. I'm also having really bad allergies or something in my eyes, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking to you, letting you look at my face, because my face is all watery and puffy. So anyways, hope you guys have had a great week. It's been pretty uneventful here. Very warm in Arizona. We've had over 100s all week, so that makes it time to stay inside and be in your air conditioning and do something where it's cool. So we are going to be creating today. So I am going to flip the camera, and then I want to talk real briefly about our projects from the other day before I get started. Okay, so yeah. Hopefully the Zoom will cooperate. Yeah. That's not what I wanted. All right. Well, we'll go with that. Sorry about that up close on my hand. It's just, you know, that's how the day's going. So, all right. So, remember Sunday we made this necklace. It was a little shorter than I wanted, you know, and I ran out of leather. So I just wanted to show you guys what I did was I attached a second loop. And you know what? It makes it just where I wanted it. So, you know, something to think about if you're working with leather and you run a little short, you can just add an additional loop on there. Because, you know, I already had my buttons, so I had to do something. You know, couldn't change up my clasp very easily. Anyways, it does fit through there because I was wearing it anyways. Oh, hey, Marianica, thanks. I know my eyes will not quite running. I've put drops in them. I've done everything, but so I'm just not gonna be in front of the camera except when I have to. So the other thing I wanted to point out is I am making patterns, and I'll make them available in the group of the beads for this project, which was one of our was one of the alternatives for last week's project. We had to make the fringe earrings. Anyways, I will be posting that one up, as well as I made another set of earrings in a different colorway. This pattern was the one I actually made live. I will post those up. Now these I did not add the skull. I'm wearing my skulls, so I don't know if you saw those when I was on there. But anyways, I will make this pattern available also. If people are really interested in kits, I might be able to throw a couple of kits together in either of these colorways. But like I said, I will post in the group the patterns for those earrings in case you're interested. So, all right, so what are we making today? We are making a beaded sculpture, which is always one of my favorite things to do. Where it's going to be inspired by a cactus, so we are actually going to make a cactus today. We're using copper. We're using fiber or beading thread in our design, and we're going to use leather. So let me show you what we're working with. I'll try not to sniffle too much because when my eyes run, it makes me sniffle. So I've got copper wire here. I'm not using my nice jewelry wire. I'm just using hardware store wire, which actually, because it's cheaper, right? I've got some beading thread here. I'll have to figure out where the end is. Just something random that I had in my, I think it came free with something. And then I have a little tiny piece of leather here. Because, you know, we have to use leather, right? And then I've got an assortment of crystals here. So let me move those out of the way. Because, you know, the only other requirement is that my beaded sculpture has to have beads, right? So, not a whole lot of beads. Not a very complicated design today, but working in the fiber and the leather will be part of my challenge here. So, since this is a fairly small sculpture, I'm just going to use my 22 gauge wire. And we are going to make a prickly pear cactus. So, I've got, I think this is the 14 millimeter coin crystal from Beadoria. And then I have a couple of the oval ones, just to add a little variety. And then I have some of the 10 millimeters. So, hey Lorraine, thanks for joining us. We make a cactus today. I missed it earlier. I'm having bad allergies and stuff, so I may be sniffling and wiping my eyes, but I'm happy to be here with you guys. Anyways, I haven't really thought about how long this needs to be. But what we are going to do is we've got our base. So prickly pear just has, you know, it kind of grows where things come out of it. So it looks something like that, although, you know, to some of you that may just look like Mickey Mouse on top of a couple of Mickey Mouse heads put together. But trust me, it kind of looks like a cactus. All right, so I'm just going to cut a section of wire. I'm not worried too much about how long it is, because I can add to it. So I do want to check and see if I can get two strands through here, because it'll impact how I make my thing. So I'm just sticking it through, and it does look like I can get two pieces of the 22 gauge wire. So since this is a sculpture, I want to put a little base on here. So let me I'm just gonna cut a couple pieces here, making them the same length, because I'm going to use this to make my base. And I'm going to cut 3 pieces. And hopefully we may need more wire, but I'm going to take each of these 3 pieces, and I am just going to use my round nose pliers. I'm going to do them, well, I'll do them one at a time. So basically somewhere in the middle. I don't have to be precise, because I am just going to do one of our little loops around, so that the wire is then going in both directions. And the third one, I could probably have gotten by with just 2 of these, but we're going to use 3 just to be sure. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put all of these on my longer piece of wire, and I want to go basically into the middle. And I'm going in the middle because I've proved that I can put 2 pieces of wire through my bead. Now, if I could only put 1 through and I needed to do a wrap around the bead, I would probably not want to be in the middle. I'd probably want to be closer to just an end with my wire. But so I'm going to slide my 14 millimeter bead on here, and it's hassling me a little bit, so I'm going to use my pliers to pull it through. And I don't know why this is not cooperating with me, but you know, it's been one of those days, so. And I am just going to keep pulling this through until we get to the bottom, or all right. I don't know why this is not being particularly cooperative. All right. So the answer may be that you want to go around the outside as opposed to trying to pull this through. And I am trying to keep my hands on in the screen for you today, so one of these is not cooperating. All right, there we go. We're almost there. And maybe we're close enough. All right, so now I've got 2 pieces of wire sticking up. Excuse me a minute. I take a drink here. All right. And then I've got one down near the base, and then I have my 3 wires, although one of them came off. It's all right, because I can just slide it back in there. Man. Hard to see when your eyes are watering. All right, there we go. I'm just gonna stick and I'm just gonna stick it through one of these other wires that's here, and we will get those. So maybe I'll make the base first, just so my wires aren't just twirling around on me. I think I'm going to wrap this one around a little bit, just because it's not wanting to stay on. So let's wrap that. I'm going to wrap this one around, and basically I just want these ending up going in couple different angles. Like I said, they don't have to be all the same length because we can cut them. And I'm not even worried about it looking like a jumble here at the bottom because we can fix that. We'll straighten it out. All right, so basically what I'm making is little legs. Not that cactus have legs, although some people like to pretend like they do. All right, so I'm basically fanning these 6 pieces out. And I'm going to wrap this one a little further around because it seems to want to be loose. So, all right, and then I'm just going to make little swirls, I think, with each of these. And like I said, it doesn't really matter. You could do zigzags, you can do whatever. I'm not worried too much about it, but I'm going to do it to each of these. And, you know, they can all go the same direction, they can go different directions, but at some point I want them to be about the same length out from the center here. These are not pretty swirls. Okay. I do the same thing or something similar for the base on when I make like beaded snowmen, which we made last year, one of our shows, because you need it to be able to stand up, right? So you probably can't really see my wire, but I will show it as I'll show it closer after I do the last one. Now, you know, I don't necessarily have to have 6. I could have done 5. Like I said, 4 sometimes works, but I found 6 lets you have plenty of things to adjust so that you can make sure it stands up. All right, so now I'm just going to use my fingers to tighten these a little. And what we'll have to see is, because, you know, I've got some wires just sitting out here, so make sure it'll sit up, which it will at the moment. All right. So now I'm going to take my wire on top, and actually, so here I am going to incorporate my leather by just tying a couple of small knots. Okay, so I'm going to do two pieces here because I have to use leather. So the leather is going to kind of be like my my cactus needles, right? And I'm going to put 2 pieces in here just because I think having 4 would be a little more interesting than just 2. So I need to put these on opposite sides, and I'm going to have to tie a second knot in here because this leather is smooth, so it does not hold knots as well as more natural leather, but hopefully that other one will hold on there. All right, you know what, I'm thinking it'll be okay when we get to the end. So all right, now I'm going to take one of these wires, I'm separating them, and I'm going to put my one of the ovals on there. And then on top of the oval, I am going to put the first one of the round beads. I'm going to tilt it a little bit off to the side, and then I'm going to wrap around and then I'm going to put a second one on there. Troubles seeing the hole since my eyes are watering. All right, and then I am going to wrap around this bead as well. Trying to keep this other wire out of the way at the moment, but now the good thing is I'll be able to move that. I just one of my beads flying and my bracelet, but I'll pick the bracelet up later. All right, and then I am just gonna wrap this a little bit, and then I think I will wrap down around the oval bead, and then just do some wire wrapping until until my wire is used up. All right, so there's one side. I'm still gonna have to mess with this leather a little bit, I think. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I am going to put the oval on, and I'm going to put one of the rounds on. And then I'm going to wrap down around that bead, and then we'll put the other one on. And I'm just going to wrap around the bottom of that a little bit. You wrap around there. I'm going to come down around that oval. Come between the two, and then I'm going to wrap it around that base there. So, actually didn't wrap that around my leather just yet. So, all right. All right, so I've got some of these, this base needs a little bit of work here. I am going to just sacrifice one of these and wrap it around the base a little more just to tighten this up. Probably would have been better to use 20 gauge at on the base, but I needed 22 for the rest of it. Alright, so now we've got what looks like a cactus. Now, these things aren't always, you know, facing the same directions. Some of them end up tilting. I'm gonna make it a little more interesting. So now we're gonna just make some more cactus spikes by just tying some beading thread around here. Now, you know, if I want to be a little more careful, I could get some more precise measurements, but we're just gonna eyeball this. Just want to make some little just some little pieces of thread that are sticking out here. So I am just tying around in between where the beads are intersecting. And let me finish this one and then we'll look at it up close a little. So there's a little bit of fuzz in there. Not loving the leather, but it's the same idea. I may have to cut one of these leather pieces back a little. In fact, I am gonna cut that one because I just want it to stick it out a little bit. You know, some cactus do have long stickers, some have short. I don't want to cut that one just yet because I think I need to tighten that one up. Alright, so let's look at what I did here. So I've just got some little threads there, and I think we'll just continue to do that on each of these four. And like I said, all I'm doing is wrapping it around, tying a knot, and then trimming, and just trying to do a couple going in opposite directions. So you have just a little bit of thread sticking out here. Let's see if we go back this time. I don't know, I thought that was one way to incorporate the thread. Now, the leather, I did think about using, like, creating a hanger for my sculpture, because, you know, sculptures don't necessarily have to sit on the table. So that certainly would have been a way to get the leather as part of my project here. But, okay, now I'm just going to do the other side so that it matches. And I couldn't tell you anything about this beading thread. Like I said, I think it came free with something I ordered, so which is why I don't use it for beading, because I don't know anything about it. I'm guessing it feels like maybe even a cotton or silk thread, but I don't know. I prefer to use beading wire or wire for most of my projects. I'm not a knotter, but I do own some pearl silk and stuff, and one of these days I'll actually probably do a knotted version of something, yes. Because the cards will make me do it because it's in our deck, so. Not opposed to it, I just don't enjoy it. So, I mean, I think it's lovely. It looks lovely when other people do it, but not one of my favorite. All right, I'm gonna put one more, and you know, I could always add more to make it look like there's more little spikes sticking out, but yeah. I cut that other one too short. Let's take a look at this up a little closer. All right, I'm going to I have to glue that, but I'm going to cut this leather off a little bit. So let's see what side looks better. It almost looks better from this side. So I'm going to actually flip these around. And then we've got our little leather, or our little thread, aka our cactus thorns. Or needles, cactus needles, really. All right, and there we go. We have our prickly pear, beaded sculpture. Now, if I was going to make more of those and make a kit out of them, I probably would not put leather in unless I added it, like I said, for using as a hanger. But that's where we are. So we have our little prickly pear, and we used the leather and the beading thread for our little cactus needles, and then, like I said, we made a little stand so it stands up. Yay! Quick project today, since we well, I don't know, we started very late, so let me get my tools out of the way here. So, you know, if I was going to inspire it by cactus, I figured it had to be a cactus for my beaded sculpture. I've been playing with beads to make a saguaro cactus, but I haven't found quite the right beads, give it the right look yet. So, but I do think it's a fun prickly pear design. One of my other little cactus, I bought these melon beads somewhere. They're just howlite beads, but I thought they made cute little, they look like barrel cactuses, and I used bead caps for the base, and then, you know, just a pink flower to make them look like little barrel cactuses. So, hey Betty, how's it going? Nice to see you. Your electricity just came back on. We need some of that rain here. Okay, well, like I said, we made this little prickly pear cactus today. So all these beads are from Beadoria, Stars Beads. So those are all available out there. And then, like I said, I've made one once before with silver without the leather and in light blue. So now he has a friend. And I didn't just make this week. I made it a while ago. So, I mean, this is something I'd been thinking about, but now they can hang out with my other creatures, my bunnies or something. I did see some bunnies when I was out walking the other day, but it's so warm right now. I'm not getting to go out for my walks. So, All right, so let's see. Just for those of you that tuned in late again, I will be putting up the, so I made the bottom of my fringe earrings from the ones we made last week. All right, it's in my ear, so I'll take it off. So we made these last week, remember? And then I made the bottom part in another colorway just to show you how it looks. I did not add the skeleton because it's not necessarily a requirement. But I am going to put that pattern on in our group. In the files section, I will let you guys know when it's there. And there will also be the pattern for this one, which is great for Day of the Dead or Halloween. Or just any time if you live here in the Southwest, we like to wear skulls. But I'm going to make both those available. If somebody really wants a kit, you're not going to get step-by-step instructions on how to do brick stitch. Like I said, we did some of the video, and I know the video was not the best, but hopefully there's plenty of them out there. So like I said, if anybody is really interested in a kit, let me know. But I can probably throw them together in either of these colorways. My limited colorways are by my bugle beads because I don't have a ton of different colors, but I do have these, and I do have some silver ones, so I could do silver as well. So anyways, so that's there. We got our cactus. And let me go ahead and flip this over. Come on. And again, sorry for the puffy eyes and face, but I've been trying for 2 hours now to get my my eye back to normal, and it's not happening. So anyways, thanks again for joining me. We'll be back on Sunday at noon for week 25, 30, what did I say? 25, yes. So we're almost through the mid-year, so wow, time flies. And we'll have a special bonus project, so, because we always do bonus projects on Sunday, right? All right, I'm gonna let you guys go, but please, if you haven't already, like and follow us. Like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're looking for videos that are older than 30 days, they are now on our YouTube channel. Like I said, I didn't transfer everything from last year, but this year, except for I lost a couple in the March time frame when they changed the rules and I didn't figure out how to do things quickly enough. But otherwise, the rest of this year is over there on YouTube. So if you're looking for any of my older projects, you should find them there. And if you're curious about what week a project was, because I do label my videos with what week it is, look in the album, the photo albums in our Bead Stash Challengers group, which the link, if you aren't already a member, is there, and the pictures are all in there. We're labeled with what week. So if you want to look up the video that goes with one of those projects, like I said, you can look in there, figure out what week it is, and then you should be able to tell which video it is on YouTube. I didn't transfer over a lot of the things that were just basic stringing or simple wire wrapping, so it was any of the more complicated or kind of unique projects that I transferred. So anyways, if you have any questions, just feel free to message me. If any of you are looking for the new cards or the new bead mixes, don't forget, we still have those for sale. Cards are $16. Each of the bead mixes, the metal mix and the bead mix, are $12 each. And if you buy the bundle, you get $5 off. If you buy 2 items, you just get $2 off. Anyways, thanks for the well wishes. I'm not sick. It's just when I get something in my eye, it's whatever, it's not working its way out. And I think, like I said, allergies are not helping today. So I know you'd think in the desert there wouldn't be anything to be allergic to, but we're getting blooms here too. And Here, we get so much wind, it just blows all the stuff around that's for weeks, right? Is what it is. All right. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great weekend, and I'll hopefully see you on Sunday. And if you're catching the replay, let me know. Talk to you soon. Bye.